Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a unique camera to talk about. This is the Sigma FP. This is a unique camera right here. It is basically a hybrid camera. You can shoot this as a stills camera and you can shoot this as a cinema camera. It's not getting a lot of buzz. It was just released a week or two ago and there's barely any reviews online about this camera. There's a few first looks, there's some first looks in the cinema world, but nothing that talks about photography with this camera. It does not have a built-in EVF on this body, but it has a really nice LCD and a really cool viewfinder attachment / loop that makes it really cool for manual focus. What I love about this camera already is the fact that it uses M-mount lenses, Leica M-mount lenses, Voigtlander M-mount lenses, any M-mount lens you care to attach via an adapter, and it makes for a small, solid, compact camera for this purpose. I will be talking more about this in the realm of photography because after testing it in good light, in low light, with M lenses, with the 45mm f2.8 from Sigma, I have fallen in love with this little guy, and the build quality is very Leica-like. This is part of the L-mount alliance. So this camera has an L-mount, which is created by Leica. You see this mount in their SL, in their TL, in their CL cameras, and you also now see it in the Panasonic S1s, the S1R, S1H, what have you. But this is the world's smallest full frame camera. Yes, full frame sensor right here, 24 megapixels, ISO up to 102,000, ISO as low as 6. But if you want to shoot at ISO 6, for example, you will need to put this camera on a tripod. You cannot handhold this camera between ISO 6 and 50 because it's doing something with the files where it's kind of either stacking files. I'm not quite sure yet, but you cannot handhold this camera. So for example, if you're out and you're like, ooh, I need an ND filter, I'll just put it to ISO 6. That's not going to work because you cannot handhold this camera. Also in cinema mode, the lowest ISO you can go is 100, so you will still need ND filters. Now for photography, I love this camera, and the funny thing is, no one's really talking about it for still images. I am finding it to be the perfect camera for use with lenses like this. This is a Voigtlander M-mount 21mm f3.5. Now, if I want, I can add the viewfinder, I can add a hot shoe attachment, I can add a mic, I can add a flash, whatever you like, because this is a modular system. As you can see, this has the small grip on the camera right here. You can see it here. And this is an accessory that sells for around $45 or $50. But it does dramatically help. I would not want to use this camera without the grip. As far as image quality, it is superb. After shooting this, especially in some low light places that I like to shoot at, the image quality is not only better than the original Leica SL in low light, it's also better in color. This thing delivers amazing dynamic range and color and low light abilities when it comes to taking still images. And the cool part is, when you add the viewfinder loop to the back of it, it creates almost the perfect manual focus system. So if you're like me and you like to shoot M lenses, you add that viewfinder and you have an amazing way to manual focus those lenses because it's using the LCD as your EVF, for example, but the viewfinder magnifies that 2.5 times and you have a huge, bright, clear, colorful display, making it a cinch to focus manually if you're using lenses like this. Now, of course, you can also use any one of the L-mount lenses made by Leica, Panasonic, Sigma, and those will have autofocus. I also have the 45 f2.8 Sigma lens, which is the perfect mate to this camera. If you attach that lens on this little body, you can go around and snap away. The AF is decent, but it's not going to be anything near Canon or Sony. But the color, the image quality, the fun factor, the build, the weather sealing, right here you can even see there is a heat sink here on the camera. So if you are shooting video, this is not going to overheat. You can shoot up to 2 hours continuous in video. And the big thing for video cinema users is you can shoot this guy up to 4K 12-bit cinema DNG RAW. Now that's nothing I will ever use because you need some serious computing horsepower and you'll need to put an SSD drive onto this camera that will output directly through USB-C. You can charge this camera through USB-C. It comes with a USB-C charger. It does not come with a dedicated charger. Battery life is average. You will need at least 2 extra spares, but there are off-name brands that sell for $24 a piece over at B&H Photo. I'll throw the link in the description below. Now this, I said earlier, is a modular camera system, meaning you add accessories as you need them. If you don't want the grip, you don't need to buy the grip. If you want a larger grip, they sell a larger grip for the camera. If you want to add something via hot shoe, you add the hot shoe adapter, which comes in the box. If you want a viewfinder, right now all Sigma has is that loop viewfinder, which makes the camera really long, but it almost looks like an old 8mm movie camera. I want to focus for a little bit here on the photo aspect, and then I'll talk about the video aspect. So the FP has amazing image quality. I'm going to print this shot, and this was shot at ISO 10,000. One of the best image quality cameras I have ever shot in this venue, which is a low light venue. There's another one here I'm going to print. This was shot in the same venue, and look at the tonality here. The stage here is shot with a red bulb, and that's the reason the previous photo was so red. This one I converted to black and white, and it just looks amazing. The tonality, the dynamic range, the detail. This and the other image were shot with a Voigtlander 75mm f1.5 M mount wide open. Moving on, how about ISO 25,600? Look at this crop here. Out the window, that's what you can expect at 25,600. This was shot with a 35 f1.2 version 2 Voigtlander lens, but amazing low light performance here at ISO 25,600 with the Sigma FP. Now this next shot is at ISO 6400, and the tonality here reminds me a lot of the original Leica monochrome. This was shot with a 35 f1.2 wide open at f1.2. The grain here is minimal, but it looks really nice. Okay, here we have another low light shot, but I want you to pay attention to the tonality and sharpness and detail. This was shot at f1.2 with a Voigtlander M mount 35 f1.2 version 2. Not only the color, but the tonality, the dynamic range, the detail, the shading. This blew me away when I pulled this image. It reminded me of something that comes from a Leica M10. But this was shot with the new Sigma FP. Absolutely beautiful. And this next image, I shot at night on the street, low light except for the signage, of course. But again, the tonality, it just looks cinematic. It looks beautiful. It looks rich. The colors coming out of this camera are some of my favorite that I've ever seen. A few more pictures from the lost leaf. And I am really, really, really happy with the output of this camera. To me, 24 megapixels is more than enough for photography, even if you want to print large. But being that this is so small and compact, yet feels so solid in the hand, and is also very simple to use with very simple menus, this makes a fun grab and go kind of camera. I just hope Sigma comes out with an electronic EVF that goes onto the hot shoe adapter. That would make it perfect, because the EVF would be over here to the left and your nose wouldn't smush on the LCD screen. It would be quite nice for those who want this camera to take photos. And this camera is not lacking in any way in the photo department. In fact, I feel it gives better results than the original Leica SL, which is still double the cost of this camera. Now, as far as video goes, this is a video powerhouse. You can even shoot 12-bit 1080 HD in Cinema DNG RAW directly internally to the SD card. It has one SD card slot, and you can shoot 4K 12-bit externally. You can also shoot normal HD in all-eye compression as a MOV file, MOV file, movie file, and I find that that works really well. The only bummer about this camera is it doesn't have any kind of advanced image stabilization. It has electronic image stabilization, but it really doesn't work very well. and it does not work with adapted lenses. So this Leica M-mount lens, or this Voigtlander M-mount lens, I should say, is not going to be able to be stabilized if you're shooting video. I think that's a bummer. I think there should have been some thought put into this for image stabilization, because if you walk around or you're shooting this, first of all, with a manual lens, it's going to be shaky because you can't activate the electronic stabilization. If you throw on something like the 45 f2.8 or an L-mount lens, it will use the electronic stabilization, but it's still not very good. It's better than none, but it's still not very good. Then the problem we have is the autofocus. In video, while this camera has face detection and eye detection, it's nowhere close to what Sony offers or Canon offers in that regard. The AF for photographs is decent enough. It's not super fast, but for video, it's very slow and it hunts a lot. So you really cannot use autofocus reliably with this camera for video. It's meant to be an all-manual kind of video machine hooked up to a rig with a cage and focus pull and all of that stuff that I don't really get into, but it is advanced enough to be able to film short films, create short films. It's pretty an amazing product, really, with great quality output. This is only contrast detect autofocus here. There's no phase detect. But imagine if Sigma had put in phase detect autofocus, right? A little built-in EVF. This would have been quite the amazing powerhouse camera. Now, it still is quite the amazing powerhouse camera that I feel is not going to get the attention it deserves. A lot of people will write this off. They already have, they already are. I even did it a couple months ago when I heard about it, but a friend of mine messaged me and said he picked one up and he fell in love instantly. And for people who like Leica or like shooting Leica or manual lenses, this can be a great alternative to something like a Leica SL or a Leica M even. No, it's not a rangefinder, but it kind of has that same vibe and that same feeling. And as I was using this camera, I felt it wouldn't be out of place if it had a red dot on it right there, because it feels almost like a Leica experience. It almost feels like the Hasselblad experience, where you walk around with a lens like this, you have the viewfinder on, and you're taking your shots, right? And you're doing it slowly, you're framing, you're not just spraying and praying, you're looking for the image, you're on the hunt for the image. And this outputs such tremendous quality, and also at the same time can fit in a coat pocket possibly. It's really a great walk around photography stills camera. So I'm really enjoying the Sigma FP, so much so that I rented this to try it out, and I liked it so much I went ahead and went to B&H Photo and placed an order for the FP. What else did I order? I ordered a viewfinder from Precision Camera because B&H was out of stock. I bought the grip from Lens Rentals with this rental so I can just keep this grip. And that's about it. I have a collection of Voigtlander lenses actually that I will use on this camera, ranging from 21mm to 75mm. I also have some Canon EF glass that I will be able to mount onto this camera since I have the adapter to do so. So here is the viewfinder attached. It screws into the bottom for a very secure fit. You look through here when you're framing and it magnifies the LCD 2.5 times. The result is like you're looking through a viewfinder, a porthole, and you're looking at a big, huge screen. It's the most impressive viewfinder experience I've personally ever had. Now, I've used a Hoodman loupe once in life. It was nothing close to the quality of this. I haven't used any recently, but this is a really cool accessory and allows you to shoot like so, right? And easily manually focus your images. You can expand and blow up your view so you can get critical focus. There's focus peaking, of course. The viewfinder includes the buttons so you don't lose access to all those buttons, the color, the tone, etc. So that's it. This is the Sigma FP. It's not for everybody. It's nothing like shooting a Sony, Canon, or Nikon. It's not a speed demon. You're not going to have fast autofocus. You're not going to have 60 megapixels. You're not going to have 100 frames per second. To me, this reminds me of shooting a Leica or a Hasselblad, for example. It's that slower process of taking an image, but it also rewards you greatly when you nail that image. I am hooked from the moment I started shooting some images in low light. This is a low light beast up there with the Panasonic S1, edges out the Sony a7 III side by side, a little bit of noise, but it offers much better color science, in my opinion, to the Sony a7 III. I will have a follow-up video soon on the FP with more. If you want to see the written review, you can go to stevehufpphoto.com. I just posted it up there. I'll link to that in the description below as well. You can buy this at B&H Photo, Amazon, your usual Sigma dealers. They're mostly out of stock right now because it's a new camera, but keep an eye out and it'll probably pop up soon. For $18.99, this is the world's smallest full-frame hybrid camera. And for what you get, especially in the video specs, there's nothing that you can get even close to this price with those specifications. And in the photo realm, it adds the value of being unique and different. And with this viewfinder and M lenses, or Leica mount lenses, I should say, it's an incredible experience shooting this. Street shooting at night with this right here is amazing. Thank you all. If you like what I do, thumbs up and subscribe. I will see you guys next time.